I solemnly promise to be pragmatic with this one, guys, even though I'm a self-confessed Porta Pro owner. My first one is still lying around somewhere. It's about 20 years old, only the right side works, but I cherish it because, like many of you watching right now, the KOSS Porta Pro was my first introduction into really good sound for cheap, like 25 bucks when I first got mine. And now we have a wireless Bluetooth version. I mean, technically this is KOSS's second attempt, but we'll forget the previous abomination ever existed. Dang it. The KOSS Porta Pro Wireless 2.0 retails for 100 bucks, and it's a super aural headphone. That means it sits on your earlobe rather than wrap around it. Bluetooth 5.2 with AAC and SBC support. Nothing fancier than that. Battery life on this, I was able to get around 18.6 hours with AAC at 65% volume. There is one single mic on this, and we'll see how that fares during the phone call test later on. There is also no multi-point Bluetooth connection, no fast pairing, no low latency mode, no app whatsoever. But what this thing has on the flip side is very unique in this space, guys. Among other things, it's the weight, 68 grams. That's like practically nothing in this day and age for a headphone. And if you're familiar with the Porta Pro, or not familiar with the Porta Pro, this design basically has been around for pretty much 40 years now and barely has changed, except in the wireless you have a double metal band, whereas the wired version has a single metal band. This is to transmit signals left and back and forth from each other. But also the other thing is probably what you see here. They call this the comfort zone adjustment pad. This is a temple support, so it rests right above your ears, and it's very, very comfortable because of that. And most headphones have this little curve, and then you have the tension that goes down. But for heads that are, you know, different shaped or whatever, this comfort zone switch right here allows it to adjust all the way outward, and it's a little bit tough to adjust, I would say, compared to the wired version. And so you can see now the headphone is pointed a little bit outwards to relieve the pressure on your head. So, you know, finding the best, most comfortable position for you is awesome on this. KOSS managed to keep the profile of the wireless Porta Pro pretty much the same as the OG wired version, especially when you include the Bluetooth module and the battery and everything. The Bluetooth module is on the right side, by the way, and so are the controls. There's the power button when you hold it down, and also serves as pause play when you tap it single time, and then track forward, backward, and that also serves as volume when you hold it down and such. Very simple stuff, and the pads are all replaceable, but they are very dinky. We'll talk more about that as well later on. You can see there's a lot of articulation in the driver or the ear pads as well. Really lots of adjustment options on this. That's why it's super, super comfortable. Now, also on the right side, speaking of wireless, you have USB to power, a USB-C for power. There's an LED light that stays on the whole time. So I think the previous wireless version blinked all the time, so at least now it's just steady. But if you're using this in low light, it's gonna bug the person next to you. Included in the box is this carry case. It's nice and compact, where you can store your headphone as well as your included cables. And the zipper is one of the best I've used so far this year. Very, very smooth, very easy to slide. There's a carry loop right there. There are no storage pockets on the inside, but there's plenty of space for everything. Now, you also will get, besides a regular charging cable USB-C to USB-C, you also will get a USB-C to 3.5 for analog listening. So that's a nice thing to have. They included all the cables that you need pretty much ready to go. Another thing I haven't showed you yet is when you fold it down, you get to fold this down into a little ball, and that's how small it gets. You can just toss it in the backpack if you like, but I suggest putting this in a case and storing it that way. I think I chose the wrong time to do this. The wind is blowing so hard since yesterday, 20 something miles an hour, wind chill is like 20 degrees. No snow though. I mean, it is cold, but I wish there was snow. That's the best kind of winter. But we're here and we're doing the Bluetooth range test. I have Toni Braxton doing a new single, Gotta Move On. She still sounds good for crying out loud after all these years. And I have it piping from my OnePlus Open to these 5.2 Bluetooth 5.2 equipped KOSS Porta Pros. And where we're standing right now is around 25 feet away from the phone, direct line of sight, no problems whatsoever. And ideally, the signal just died. Well, ideally, I was gonna say, once we hit that window, you know, Bluetooth 5.2 is usually when we see audio cutouts, but let's see, I'm back in range and we're back again. So around 30 feet right here, 30 feet, I'm getting signal cut out completely. So it's not the worst I've seen. this year, but you know, it's close to spec that I'll give it a pass. How do these fit? Oh my goodness, super comfortable, barely any weight on it. It's so light. I love wearing these. If you want to wear these working out, sure, there's a little bit of a rattle here. I would say something, the pivot point here rattles a little bit, but I'm sure it's unit to unit for something priced like this. The build quality is always going to be and there's a little pumpkin right there. But yeah, these things are so light, and once you, as you can see, look at this tempo pad right here. Once you have that set right and the tension band set right, man, these things are awesome. Run. Any traffic? Of course there's nobody right now. It's dead quiet. Check this out. I'm gonna run out to the street, right in the middle of the road. Nobody. What the heck? Anyways, the single mic on these, yeah, no go, guys. Especially in a windy condition like this. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Here comes the car. This kind of situation just doesn't sound good at all. So with the wind bustling in right into the the mic port, it has this sound you can probably hear in the samples, right? Yeah, quiet environments indoors, it's okay, but even if it peaks really easily, yeah, you're not going to expect much from this. This is probably one of the worst this year. So back to the drawing board calls. So besides sound, and we'll get into that in a little bit, of course, the Porta Pro has always been, at least to me, about lightness, fit, and design. I absolutely love how this thing is unashamed to be rocking the 80s vibe, along with one of the strangest but most effective adjustment systems on any headphone ever made. When you wear this in public, like today in 2024, in a world filled with AirPod Maxes and Skull Candies on one end of the spectrum and AirPods and Raycons on the other, you're gonna get lots of looks with this, for better or for worse. But who cares? You get this because in terms of comfort and weight, the Porta Pro is one of those rare devices that just disappears into the background. When you have the headband and tempo adjusters like set up properly, it's like you're wearing nothing, guys. And I frequently say this about IEMs, but almost never about headphones. All you have to do is just mention the name Porta Pro in any like audio circle or forum, and you have a good number of people giving you the thumbs up. This little guy has earned its stripes for over the last 40 years or something for its surprising performance to cost ratio. Now, understandably, a small subset of people don't see the whole draw of this thing because on one hand, at least in this wireless Porta Pro's case, it brings tons of power. Even 50% volume indoors is loud enough for me. It excels in forward mid-bass, is quite responsive to EQing, has surprising composure at high volumes for a 35mm driver, fantastically open soundstage, has good timbre presentation, and because the headphone is so comfortable, your ears and your head can focus on what matters most, the sound. But on the other hand, treble isn't as bright as some might like definitely not by 2024 standards. Bass is fast and full with fantastic response, but it's not what I would call detailed, and it can produce wooliness in certain genres like classical or jazz, something that doesn't happen as much on the wired version for some reason. Now, when I run Adele's Hello, for example, the beginning part, which just has the piano and her vocals, this thing starts off with lots of detail and nuances that would put a smile on anybody's face. But just past the minute mark of that song, when Adele kicks her voice into high gear, when the instruments all come in together, they begin to sound slightly muffled. Now, wired listening is an option with these. There's also no need to keep the circuit energized either, so it's completely usable when the battery is flat. And a nice surprise is that connecting a cable to the Porta Pro doesn't equal audio penalty box either. It's maybe 85% of the way to the wired OG, so definitely not a slouch. Most of you Porta Pro owners will know what I mean when I say that the ear pads are way too easy to damage on these. Like small nicks can turn into large tears really quickly even if you nurse it. And another weak point, and relatedly somewhat, is that hasn't changed since the first gen either, is when the headphone is stowed down into its most compact position, as we saw in the close-ups earlier. The bottom of the ear pads sit hard against the metal headband, and over time with all that rubbing, it will start to tear. And that's the reason why I have a large pack of like stock replacement pads in my stash just for this purpose. And this was way before they started making like third-party like Yahtzee pads and all that. So I suggest getting those because they're more robust and better and cost like what, $15, $16 a pop. The launch price for this thing is probably around 15 to 20 bucks too high in my opinion, because for a $100 wireless headphone in 2024, you have limited Bluetooth codecs outside of AAC and SBC with a chipset that doesn't play well with Chromebooks for some reason, which is a first for me. Below average video and gaming delay in SBC mode. There's no app support and nothing wrong with that, but in this case, there's no way to upgrade anything or fix any problems. There's no USB-C to USB-C audio. Yeah, you see what I mean? Yeah, so $85 is probably the absolute highest I'll pay. So if you want one, well, there's Black Friday season coming up, so that's probably the best time to scout for one of these. The last one is a small niggle to me, but I can see it being a big problem for some folks, is that the headband is now much harder to adjust than before. The old version had a single band, but no thanks to the twin bands, this thing creates more friction now. Let me answer the question I hear many of you asking, like throughout this video, I'm sure. Yes, there are better performing, more all-rounded headphones out there for more or less the same money as this thing, and I've reviewed many of those over the years. But still, the wireless Porta Pro is a unique species of headphones. I can't think of anything that sounds this energetic and tight in a package, this light, comfortable, and totally retro. I mean, if Sennheiser, hello Sennheiser, if you made a Bluetooth version of the PX100, then maybe, just maybe, we might have a serious fight on our hands. But until then, well, this has been the KOSS Porta Pro Wireless 2.0 review, and I hope you enjoyed this video and it helps you with your shopping needs, or you learned something new about the product in the first place. And thanks also to KOSS for sending me these 2 units, one to replace my OG version, which is really nice of y'all. Thank you so much. And just like any video I make on Gear Up, I try to be as objective as possible. But this one was a particularly nostalgic video to make in the first place because I have a lot of history with this headphone, but I hope I tried my best. I hope this video was clear enough for you guys. And thank you again for watching, guys. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and remember to do something loving and kind for somebody in this world, because guess what? If you haven't seen the news lately, the world needs it more than ever, and it starts with you. I love you all very much. Peace out and God bless.